when you hear the term business development, how do you make sense of it?
Someone that develops the business. Well,
It's good that we have a guest that can explain things.
Toshko, can you help us with that?
Well, right. Well, we spoke about what sales is, right? The process from understanding someone might be interested in working with you to signing the deal with them. Business development is more of a long-term endeavor. It's not really about a strict process, but it's more about what we just discussed. Building the right relationships with the right people who can become strategic partners now or tomorrow. So it's about nurturing those relationships, understanding well where you can help them, but also understanding where they could be of help for you. So I don't know much about the business you do, but for example, I think that how close you stay to the Django community, how much you contribute back to it, I think this can be seen as a business development effort.
That's an interesting take. We never saw this as a business development. I still think that this is not actually business development, even though our engagement with the Django community has brought us a lot of business. But actually, if you're, what I'm hearing is you're not aiming to close a deal when you're doing business development. You're not aiming to sell anything. You're not going with this intention.
Well, the ultimate intention is to sell business, but the business development process, maybe the success of the business development process is not closing a deal, but it's creating the opportunity so that the salesperson, there we go.
It's all right.
It's all right.
So that the salesperson can take it from there.
Yeah.
Business development, let's say you work a lot with startups, for example. Where do you find those startups?
Usually, so how we find new business right now is almost exclusively by referrals.
Right.
Like this is how we find new business. Very rarely we go and knock on doors or go to events, and then we have done this. We have closed businesses, but the ones that are actually working for us come from a referral because they come really, really warm.
Right.
Like
so is it referrals by existing customers?
Yes.
Is it sometimes referrals by people who are not your customers?
Sometimes we have like people we've worked with somehow, and they refer
yes.
For example, people from the courses, people from the conference, people from like friends.
From our extended network, but it's still people that we know through the things that we have been doing over the years.
Okay, so it's mostly people you've worked with.
Yeah.
Well, business development is the idea that you can create those partnerships where you will be recommended by someone in the industry. It's good for them to recommend you because they know you're the best option. So by recommending you, they'll be helping out their friend. But it's also great for you because this, partnership brings you new business. So in the charge point management scenario that we discussed, we mentioned at the very start that it might be us recommending hardware suppliers, or the hardware suppliers might be recommending us. So this is a typical example. We have, of course, interest in recommending the best hardware, but out of 50 suppliers, there might be 5 that we're happy to build a good relationship with because we can bring business to them, they can bring business to us.
All right, so it's safe to say that business development comes before sales, and it can generate interests and leads and demands, and then sales takes over, and at a certain point, pre-sales takes over. Am I correct on this?
Yes, so pre-sales steps in to handle the complexity of the sales process.
All right.
It's not necessary. Not every buyer will want a heavy process. Some people will, especially if you're in the early days, you have the financing, you have the team, you have fewer decision makers, you have fewer stakeholders.
All right.
It's kind of easy to figure out what you need. And also, as a small company, you don't have a lot of the baggage that a big company is bringing, like a lot of the risk management they need to do.